Statistically speaking, once you get into the car with a stranger, your chances of survival drop to almost zero. Criminologists, FBI profilers, and detectives all agree on one terrifying rule: never let them take you to the secondary location. The primary location, the street, the parking lot, the front porch, is where the abduction happens. It is chaotic. It is public. There is a chance for witnesses. But the secondary location, the house, the basement, the cabin in the woods, that is the killer's domain. That is where they have total control. That is where the rules of society stop and the rules of a nightmare begin. Once you cross that threshold, you are no longer just a victim. In the eyes of a predator, you are a possession. Most people, when dragged into that darkness, shut down. The brain goes into a state of shock. It is a biological mercy. Your mind fogs over to protect you from the horror of what is happening. You dissociate. You freeze. You wait for the end. But in November 1984, in Tampa, Florida, a 17-year-old girl named Lisa McVeigh did something that defied biology. She did something that defied psychology. When the gun was pressed to her head and she was dragged into the secondary location, she didn't freeze. She didn't shut down. Instead, a switch flipped in her brain. She realized with a clarity that is chilling to think about that she was going to die. She knew that the man holding her had done this before. She could smell the death on him. She could feel the routine in his movements. And in that moment of absolute terror, she made a decision that would change the course of criminal history. She decided to stop being a victim. She decided to become a detective. While she was blindfolded, she was counting. While she was tied up, she was feeling the texture of the carpet. While he was attacking her, she was leaving her own DNA on his bedsheets. She was memorizing the world around her with the precision of a computer, gathering evidence for a trial that hadn't happened yet, for a murder she hadn't survived yet. This is the story of the girl who outsmarted a serial killer. It is the story of 26 hours of psychological warfare between a teenage girl and a monster named Bobby Joe Long. And it is the story of how one victim's perspective, her refusal to close her eyes, saved the lives of countless women who would have been next. If you want to understand the true power of the human spirit when it is pushed to the absolute edge, please hit that subscribe ** button right now. You need to hear this, because Lisa McVeigh didn't just survive. She fought back without ever throwing a punch. To understand why Lisa McVeigh was able to survive a monster, you have to understand that she had been surviving monsters her whole life. Lisa didn't have a fairy-tale childhood. She was living in a nightmare long before she met Bobby Joe Long. She was living with her grandmother, but the situation was volatile. She was working at a donut shop, Krispy Kreme, to make money. She was independent, tough, and street smart because she had to be. But she was also vulnerable. She was 17. She was small. She was riding her bike home from work in the middle of the night because she had no car and no ride. It was November 3, 1984, just after 2:00 a.m. The streets of Tampa were wet. It had been raining. The air was thick and humid. Lisa was tired. She had just finished a shift. She was thinking about getting home, maybe thinking about school, maybe thinking about how to get out of her difficult home situation. She didn't know that a predator was hunting that night. Bobby Joe Long was a man who hated women, not in a casual way, but in a pathological, violent way. He had already killed at least 8 women in the Tampa Bay area. The police called him the classified ad rapist, or later, simply a serial killer. He targeted women who were alone, vulnerable. He saw Lisa on her bike. To him, she was just another opportunity. He pulled his car, a Dodge Magnum, up beside her. Suddenly the door opened. A man jumped out. Before Lisa could scream, before she could pedal away, she felt the cold steel of a gun barrel against her temple. "Get in the car, or I'll blow your brains out." Lisa dropped her bike. The wheels spun on the wet pavement. She got into the car, and the lock clicked down. This is the moment where most stories end. This is the point of no return. Lisa was blindfolded immediately. She was told to keep her head down. The car started moving. And in the darkness of that blindfold, Lisa McVeigh began her work. Most victims later describe this car ride as a blur. They cry, they beg, they panic. Lisa did cry. She was terrified. But underneath the tears, her brain was racing. She realized that if she wanted to live, she had to know where she was going. She couldn't see, so she used her other senses. She felt the car turn left. She counted the seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. She felt the car stop, stop sign or red light. She listened to the sounds outside, the hum of the highway, the sound of gravel. She was building a map in her head. Eventually, the car stopped. They were at an apartment complex. He dragged her out of the car. He walked her up the stairs. Lisa counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. She counted exactly how many steps led to the landing. She counted the steps to the door. She memorized the sound of the key turning in the lock. They went inside. The air changed. It smelled stale. It smelled like cigarettes and something else, something metallic. He took the blindfold off for a second, just long enough to move her, and she saw the floor. Red carpet, shag carpet. She filed that away, red carpet. He tied her up, he assaulted her. It was brutal, it was terrifying. But during the assault, Lisa did something incredible. She dissociated from the pain, but she hyper-focused on the evidence. She realized, if he kills me and they find my body, there needs to be proof I was here. She started touching things. When his back was turned, she touched the wall. She touched the headboard. She touched the nightstand. She was leaving her fingerprints everywhere. She was planting a trail of crumbs for the police to find. She even took strands of her own hair, long blonde hair, and pulled them out. She tucked them into the crevices of the bed. She tucked them under the mattress. She was thinking, if I don't walk out of here, my DNA will. After the initial violence, the dynamic shifted. Bobby Joe Long was a narcissist. He wanted control, but he also wanted validation. Lisa realized that if she acted like a victim, if she cried, screamed, or fought, he would kill her. That's what he did to the others. He got off on the fear and then he disposed of them. So, Lisa McVeigh decided to become a person. She decided to use tactical empathy. She started talking to him. Not begging, talking. She asked him questions. What's your name? Do you have a girlfriend? You seem lonely. This confused him. Monsters are used to fear. They aren't used to conversation. He started talking back. He told her about his life. He told her about his failures. Lisa played the role of the listener. She stroked his ego. She told him, you're not a bad person. You just made a mistake. She was lying through her teeth, of course. She knew he was the devil, but she needed him to believe that she liked him. Then she played her trump card. Lisa knew that serial killers often have a twisted moral code. They justify their killings by thinking the victims are bad or dirty. Lisa needed to be innocent. She needed to be someone he ** couldn't * kill. She told him a lie. She told him she was taking care of a sick parent. "I'm the only one who takes care of my dad," she said. "If I don't go home, nobody will feed him. He'll die." She humanized herself. She made herself essential to someone else's survival. She appealed to the tiny, microscopic shred of humanity buried deep inside him. And it worked. Bobby Joe long hesitated. He had killed so many women, but this one was talking to him. This one understood him. This one had a sick dad. For 26 hours, Lisa McVeigh lived on a razor's edge. Every time he moved, she thought it was the end. At one point, he took her into the bathroom. She saw the toilet, she saw the shower. She noticed the details, the color of the tiles, the brand of the soap. She was scanning everything. When he took her back to the bedroom, he fell asleep. Imagine the terror of lying next to a serial killer while he sleeps. The gun was right there. Lisa thought about grabbing it. But she was tied up, and she knew that if she missed, or if the safety was on, or if she hesitated, he would wake up and kill her instantly. She decided that escape was too risky. Her best bet was to convince him to let her go. She woke him up gently. "I have to go to work," she said. "If I don't show up, they'll call the police. My boss knows I'm reliable. It will look suspicious." She spun a web of logic. "If you let me go, I won't tell anyone, I promise. I'll tell them I ran away. I'll tell them I was with a boyfriend. Nobody will know about you." She promised him friendship. She promised him she would be his secret. And Bobby Joe Long, in his arrogance, believed her. He thought he had charmed her. He thought he had created a bond. He decided to let her go. He put the blindfold back on her. He walked her down the stairs. Lisa counted again. 1, 2, 3. It matched the count from coming up. He put her in the car. He drove. Lisa memorized the turns again. But then he did something careless. He needed cash. He stopped at an ATM. Lisa couldn't see, but she could hear. She heard the buttons beeping. She heard the machine whirring. She peeked from under the blindfold, just a tiny sliver. She saw the logo of the bank. She saw the location. She marked it in her mind. Magnum ATM location. He drove her to a desolate spot. He stopped the car. He dragged her out. This was the moment of truth. Often, serial killers tell victims they are letting them go, only to shoot them in the back as they walk away. It's a final game for them. Lisa stood there, blindfolded in the dark. "Don't take the blindfold off until you count to 100, he said. "I promise," she said. Thank you for not killing me. Tactical gratitude." He got in the car. He drove away. Lisa ripped the blindfold off. She didn't run immediately. She looked at the car. It was a red Dodge Magnum with a black vinyl top. She memorized the taillights. Then she ran. She ran home. She burst through the door. She told her grandmother what happened. "I was kidnapped. He had a gun. He held me for a day." You would expect hugs. You would expect calls to 911 immediately. But Lisa's home life was toxic. Her grandmother didn't believe her. "You were probably just out with a boy," she said. "Stop making up stories." Lisa was devastated. She had survived hell, and the people who were supposed to protect her were calling her a liar. But Lisa was not going to let him get away. She called the police herself. When the detectives arrived, they were skeptical. A teenager gone for a day, usually a runaway case. But then Lisa started talking. And she didn't just say, "I was scared." She started rattling off data. He drives a red Dodge Magnum with a black top. There are red carpet fibers on my clothes. He lives in an apartment complex. You go up 12 stairs to get to his door. His bathroom has white tiles. He stopped at the bank on this specific street at this specific time. I left my fingerprints on the headboard. I left my hair under the mattress. The detectives stopped writing. They looked at each other. This wasn't the rambling of a runaway. This was the testimony of a star witness. They realized she was describing the MO of the classified ad rapist, the man they had been hunting for months. The police went to the bank location Lisa described. They pulled the CCTV footage from the ATM. And there it was. The red Dodge Magnum. The timestamp matched exactly what Lisa said. They ran the license plate. It belonged to a man named Bobby Joe Long. They tracked him to his apartment. They raided the place. When they walked in, it was exactly as Lisa had described. The 12 stairs. The red shag carpet. The white tiles in the bathroom. And when they stripped the bed, they found the hair, Lisa's hair, exactly where she said she hid it. They dusted the headboard. They found the fingerprints, Lisa's prints, exactly where she said she placed them. She had practically drawn them a map to his conviction. Bobby Joe Long was arrested. When they interrogated him, he was shocked. He thought Lisa was his friend. He thought she wouldn't tell. He confessed. Not just to kidnapping Lisa McVeigh. He confessed to murdering 10 women. Lisa McVeigh wasn't just a survivor. She was the key that unlocked a genocide. Without her memory, without her tactical manipulation, he would have killed 10 more. He would have killed 20 more. He was escalating. Lisa stopped him. The trial was the final battle. Lisa had to stand on the witness stand. She had to look at the man who raped her, the man who held a gun to her head. Bobby Joe Long stared at her. He tried to intimidate her. But Lisa didn't flinch. She pointed at him. She told the jury exactly what he did. She used her voice, the voice he tried to silence to bury him. Bobby Joe Long was found guilty. He was sentenced to death. He sat on death row for years. And years later, when his execution date finally came in 2019, Lisa McVeigh was there. She sat in the front row. She watched the life leave his eyes. She said later, "I wanted to be the first face he saw when he picked me up, and the last face he saw when he left this world." But the best part of this story isn't the execution. It is the life Lisa lived after. Most people would be broken by this. Most people would hide from the world. Lisa McVeigh didn't hide. She decided that she had a talent. She had an instinct for survival and justice. So she went to the police academy. Lisa McVeigh became a sheriff's deputy. She spent her career protecting children. She spent her career hunting predators. She specialized in sex crimes. Imagine being a predator in Florida, thinking you got away with it, and the detective who walks into the interrogation room is the woman who outsmarted a serial killer at age 17. You don't stand a chance. Lisa took her trauma and turned it into a weapon for good. She saved countless children during her career. She became a hero not because of what happened to her, but because of what she did with it. The story of Lisa McVeigh challenges everything we think we know about victims. We think of victims as passive. We think of them as helpless. But Lisa proved that a victim can be a warrior. She proved that the mind is the strongest weapon we have. She proved that even when you are tied up, blindfolded and held at gunpoint, you still have a choice. You can choose to give up, or you can choose to take notes. Lisa took notes, and because she did, a monster was removed from this earth. This story gives me chills every time I tell it. The presence of mind she had at 17 years old is superhuman. What would you have done in her situation? Do you think you could have kept your cool enough to count the stairs? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more stories about survivors who turn the tables on their attackers, please destroy that asterisk button. It helps the channel so much. And subscribe ***. I have a story coming next week about a man who survived a firing squad and lived to tell the tale. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember, you are stronger than you think.